Welcome back, everyone. It's time for another tutorial video here in MLB The Show 23. And today we are going to focus on hitting and the different hitting inputs you can use in MLB The Show 23. This is a follow-up from yesterday's video in which we talked about all the pitching inputs. And if you happen to have missed that, there is going to be a link in the description so you can catch up on that. Now, before we get started, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and click that bell notification so you can get up-to-date notifications on when we go live with more content just like this. And if this video helps you out, hit the like button too, because that will get this video out to more viewers just like you looking for some help and tips on MLB The Show 23. We also stream live over at twitch.tv/Brian Evolved, and you can follow us there for live streams on games like MLB The Show, Out of the Park Baseball, and much, much more. So we're not going to waste much time here. We're just going to jump right in the options menu as we already there. And we're going to start kind of like we did with the pitching from easiest to hardest. And just like pitching, the harder it gets, the more rewarding it's going to be for the player. Now, swing input, there's three different types of inputs you can utilize. You can use buttons, which is my favorite because there's no chance for a mess up with the analog stick. But it's easy. All you have to do is press A for your normal swing or the X button on PlayStation, B for contact swing or circle. And then on PlayStation for a power swing, it'd be square, or X on the Xbox. Now, going next is the analog flick. All you have to do for that is moving up on the right analog stick for your normal swing, left or right for a contact swing, and if you want a power swing, pull back on the right stick and then flick up. And lastly is the analog stride. This is what I used to use when I just did timing and when I wasn't using the zone and the PCI. Analog stride just provided that kind of fun atmosphere to hitting. So with this, it kind of brings a combination of both the buttons and the analog flick. So you have to set before the pitch comes to you if you want a normal, contact, or power swing. It usually defaults to normal if you don't press anything, but just like the button presses, it's the same button. So normal is A, blah, blah, blah. Now for this, instead of just flicking the stick, you have to pull down to start the stride of the batter, and then you flick up to initiate the swing. So you have to time that out perfectly, and that's when you're going to get rewarded for timing it correctly. Now, there's three different hitting interfaces, but also for simplicity's sake, we're going to use buttons for this entire thing. For one, you can't tell if I'm using analog sticks or buttons anyway, and we're just showing you the hitting interfaces. That's the important part. So there's three of them. And again, we're gonna go from easiest to hardest. So timing is gonna be your first one, directional is gonna be your second one, and then zone is gonna be your hardest one, and we'll get to that in a second. And you're not gonna get rewarded much for using the timing method here either. So that was just late, and it was a ground ball over to first. Now I'm gonna have Wainwright pitch in the same spot here just for simplicity's sake and not having to wait. And that was good timing right there, but I had no control over anything. And as you saw, that was a weak ground ball to first. And that was just early, and I just hit a home run. No, it's gonna be just a double off the wall, but that's kind of the point here, is that timing, it's kind of a random generator. You have no control over where it's going. You only have control of timing, and that's not rewarding. That's a nice hit, but again, you have no control over that actually happening. Now, if you're just a casual player, maybe someone young in your family is trying to play this game or pick up this game, this is going to be the method you want to use because it's easy. It's a good way to introduce yourself to the hitting mechanics and the timing of a pitch coming through. And there I am missing one. Contact miss, and that was good timing. That's a perfect example there. I was on time with good timing, and I still missed a pitch. So, again, if you want something introductory, yes. Will it piss you off a couple times because you had good timing and you completely whiffed? Yeah, it will. And then you'll have a perfect out of nowhere and just absolutely crush one to the bleachers. Like that. Next up is something called directional. And this is kind of like timing, just with a little extra boost to it. Now, there's two different things you can add to with directional hitting, and this is just kind of aesthetics. There's a directional camera shift, and I'll show you here in a second so you know what that actually is, and then the directional hitting indicator, which you'll also see when I go back to the game. As you can see, the camera's moving, and you can see those arrows as I'm moving those directions, and we know it's going to the right side, so we're just going to place it there. So with directional hitting, you're going to wait for the pitch, and we know it's going to the right. But if we didn't, we have to kind of guess where it's going. So this is a step up towards zone. You're going to guess where I wouldn't say guess, but you're going to locate where that pitch is going, and that's going to help you direct it. So it gives you a little more control while still using the timing method. Now, if I just do nothing, it's going to pretend I'm trying to hit one right down the middle. And that was a nice sliding drive base hit. Not too bad. But again, if you want to push it to the outside, you want to drive it towards right field, you're going to want to do that, and there you go. Again, this gives you a little more control. It's a little more enjoyable as opposed to playing with just timing, because again, control is everything with games like this, because you don't like random chances when it's something that feels like a skill. Now, if you want to use directional, but you don't like those arrows and that camera shift, which I'm not a big fan of that camera shift at the very least, but we'll turn them both off just so you can see it. And it looks like this. Nothing is there, but I'm holding right and I sent it right. Now, the last hitting interface is something called zone. And if you watch anyone on Twitch or YouTube, this is what you're probably going to see them use the most. I use the default settings for this entirely, so I don't mess with any of these options, but we'll go through them here real quick. So the PCI anchor, which is the plate coverage indicator, you can have this free or preset. If you want to go through all these options, you can, and it gives you a description at the top. I don't need to do that, but something you might mess with here is the color of your PCI, which you'll see exactly what the PCI looks like here in a second. So you can go with yellow, transparency. You can turn that all the way up or down, wherever you want it to be. Fade out. This can actually fade the PCI away. I don't like that. And you can also guess pitch. Again, not a big fan of doing that either. Let's just jump into it so you can kind of see what it looks like. And here's what PCI looks like. That middle half circle you see in there, that's where you're going to want to place the ball inside of. And of course, the lower you go on it, the better pop-ups you'll get. The higher you go on the ball, the more ground outs you'll get. So kind of like that, we're on top of it. And what's great about PCI placement there is you're able to get that instant feedback in the bottom left. I'm going to pop that one up by going underneath it, which you don't get with the other two because, well, there's really no feedback to give you other than your timing. With this, you get instant feedback of how well you did, where you placed it, and that was right on the button, but I was a little inside on the barrel. That's why I kind of just drove a little liner that wasn't too powerful. And it is difficult to get good at, and playing this game for years, and I still have a lot of catching up to do in terms of skill, but it's far more rewarding. You're getting that instant feedback there on the bottom left, which you do not get with any other mode. You just get the timing of everything, and you don't have to worry about just timing. This is actually rewarding you for doing well. Look at that, perfect, and that's a double off the wall. Now, you're gonna have a lot of people online complain that perfect should always result in home runs, but it's not always gonna be the case. Now, this one might be the case. That was beautiful, and that's in the bleacher. And this is zone hitting. It's my favorite one. It's gonna be a lot of people's favorite ones just because of the reward level you get for it, the control you have over the game with zone hitting. Now, I talked about cameras earlier. This is the catcher camera. Not a fan of it in PCI mode for sure. It's nice, like I said earlier, that you get a nice visual of the entire field and the batter himself. But what I go with here is strike zone 2, and you're gonna see people use these closer ones typically when it comes to just being competitive or playing at a high level. Mainly because you have a much better view of that strike zone. And it's a lot easier to see if the ball's gonna travel outside of it, and you can hold off on swinging. Now, for practice here, we got Wainwright just throwing it right in the same spot, so I'm not just sitting on balls all day. And pop that one up. Yeah, good old pop up to right field. But again, this is all three hitting methods in MLB The Show 23. What is your favorite one if you are familiar with the show? And what reservations do you have about using something like zone hitting? And is there anything you'd like to see the show do differently? I like hits like that because that's an easy double, possible triple if it's quick on the pass. But if this video did help you out, again, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and of course, share this with a friend who just picked up MLB The Show 23 for the first time and needs some tips on what to do with hitting. Are they lost? Do they know what they all do? If they don't, this is the perfect video for it. And oh, I love perfect perfects. We're just going to end it on that one because we love dingers here, and especially catching the basket at Wrigley against the Cardinals. There's no sweeter thing in baseball. Opening day is in less than 14 hours. It's going to be awesome. I'm ready for it. Hopefully you are ready for it. And again, I want to thank you for your support and enjoy baseball this week because, like I said in the last video, it's back, baby.